All right, so I'm going to yap for a little bit and try to make sense of what I'm trying to get to. Bear with me as we go through this rogue Xbox Ally X leaked information. So, Xbox is in an interesting space at this point in time. Xbox has the ability to determine the market for a lot of things. And I know you don't think that, but they are the biggest gaming publisher out there right now, and they have a lot of cachet to do certain things. That's why they can sell Outer Worlds 2 for, $80, and they can continue to raise prices for their consoles, and nobody kind of like bat an eye because one, nobody was buying them anyway, but two, they are going to make rest of the market do the same. Now, Nintendo was the first to go. We all understand that, but they're very selective. Outer Worlds 2 has no business being $80, but it's going to be $80. And that is going to be the sentiment moving forward. We want to give you quality games that are worth the price, right? I don't know. You tell me. Does that look like an $80 game? We can debate that. To me, I say no. How much is it going to cost to own and to be able to natively play your game? Based off the leaks, we're looking at roughly $1,037 for the Xbox Ally X, and then $691 for the a regular version, or the one that's kind of close to the, I would call it the Steam Deck one. I honestly couldn't tell you if these make sense to buy. Who are these handhelds truly made for? Are they made for PC gamers? Are they made for Xbox gamers? That is really where the problem lies. We just saw the successful launch of the Switch 2, regardless of how we truly feel about it. The technology on hand in the handheld itself, the hardware, 1080p 60, 1080p 120, the ability to run up to 4K resolution, and also have a decent, or at least on par, battery life for $450, regardless of it's stuck in the proprietary of Nintendo. Nintendo makes games people want to play, and there are games that's coming to it, third party games that will run well on a handheld. So it throws me when I get to see the Rogue Xbox Ally X start to put a premium on that, because the point of PC gaming, console gaming, is that there is a choice. There's a choice between ex- expensive hardware or cheap hardware. And if this is the idea of how to introduce people to the United I just think it's a bad move. You shouldn't charge this much, simply due to the fact that you're not going to get the buy-in needed, to get the testers needed, to get the people that actually think that these things are useful to want to go out and pay for it, because there's a lot that goes into word of mouth and spreading good word and good value than what it ever would be of just giving the best of the best on the market. The Steam Deck also had to carve its own way. And the reason why it was able to do that is not only did they take the time to make the software good, they took the time to make the hardware affordable and right. Affordability, the ability to match price to performance. I feel like we lose that in this conversation about this Ally X that they're putting out. I understand they putting out a separate one for the cheaper model, but for your cheaper model to be $691 starting off, how is that going to get people accustomed to what you're truly trying to do next? It really doesn't make sense to me. It's tough for me to defend the price points, even though they're leaks. Hopefully, they're not true. It's tough for me to defend the price points when you have things like the Steam Deck on the market, when you have things like the Switch 2 on the market. Because if I want a nice UI wrapped GUI with a 1080p screen, variable refresh rate, 60 FPS, 120 FPS, I can buy the Switch 2 right now and have a catalog worth of games to play, old and new, and have that handheld experience. And all I need is, like, you know, a streaming device to play the rest of my stuff. If I buy this Xbox handheld, it is meant to unlock the entirety of my, you know, library except for my Nintendo stuff, obviously. But what it's not doing is providing the real use case users the value that they're seeking. I just think that the Rogue Ally or Xbox Ally X is way too expensive. If you're talking going into $1,000 for a handheld, it's supposed to be complementary to your PC. Like you're not supposed to use it as your main PC. It's supposed to be complementary to your PC. Um, that's just kind of like it's a no go. Let's think about it this way: what do you truly value from your handheld? Like, what is the value of the handheld to you, to most people? I know for me, the value of the handheld is native gameplay. The value of my handheld isn't being able to run the latest and greatest. It is having an optimized experience on said handheld, regardless of what specifications it's trying to hit, as long as it's hitting those specifications and I feel comfortable with the value and the performance of it, then I should be golden. When you're trying to seek out and chase that high of, turning it into a 5090 class experience, and you're docking it to try to juice it out more and do all this other stuff, it loses the plot to me. It loses the value proposition. The reason why the Steam Deck has such a strong value proposition is because it knows what it is. I think the Rogue Ally X or the Xbox Ally X or the Xbox Ally, they have lost the plot of what they truly are right now. They're supposed to be a complementary device to allow people to game outside of their, you know, household and to actually enjoy that experience outside of just sitting in front of a power supply. So, yes, you have the strength to run games very good, but that battery is going to get tapped also quickly. You're going to have the ability to enjoy an experience that may not be able to be done elsewhere, but there is functionality today that is getting better and better with streaming and being able to just stream those games to your device in a good way. So I don't know if this is the value that we are looking for. I know for me, I could definitely pick this up and enjoy what it is. And mostly it'll be just morbid curiosity on whether or not they can fix Windows, but it won't be something that I am just like happy with. I know if I picked this up at that price, I would never be satisfied and happy with. So with Xbox having the ability to dictate the market and kind of bring in new price points, bring in new things, um, it shows me that they truly are a PC company, PC first company. They have no idea how to truly make and price a experience that is meant to be for a console. They just don't get it. And I'm starting to realize that more and more as I look at why PlayStation decided to do the Portal instead of a true handheld, why, Nintendo is at the 450 price for their handheld and they're charging a little bit more for their games on the upfront, but they haven't included any microtransactions or weird things on their games because they know that the value of the business model is keeping things at least somewhat affordable, um, without making the user feel bad about their purchase. And there's plenty of times where I can see the justification of what that would cause someone to say, "This is an $80 game. This isn't. This isn't. This is going to be the one that you're going to have to pay more for because you're going to probably be playing in my entire generation." That makes total sense to me. It's even though I will be very picky about the games that I'm selecting, it makes sense to me. What doesn't make sense to me is the rationale behind what this is, why it exists, and the price point. I'm worried that this price point is going to kill all momentum for the unification of Xbox and Windows, because what they're doing is they're wrapping this GUI for them only. The saving grace is that this is probably not going to just be on this system. And that's the greatest thing ever. They're going to open it up to other manufacturers. Microsoft has never been the best at partnering and making good products. Like, they just aren't the best at it. So when they open up the market to other developers and other manufacturers, sorry, not developers, when they open it up to other manufacturers, it's going to allow us to pick and choose the price points that we want to jump into their new unified design. It's just that this probably is going to be the one that is held to Xbox as the best of the best, which is fine for now, but realistically, the best of the best is going to be the one that sells the most. And trust me, it ain't going to be this device. It's going to be the one that matches performance to price every time. And that's why you got the Steam Deck doing so well. That's why you're going to have more, probably the next Steam Deck that's going to still be allowing you to run Steam OS or Windows new UI. Either way you want to do it is probably going to still be the best of the best. It's just that this is going to be what we're going to get from the first time on. I don't know how well it's going to do. I don't know how bad it's going to do. All I can tell you is that, yeah, it's probably going to sell out. They're probably not going to make that many of them. And if you want one, you're probably still going to need to jump out and get it out the window. Probably still going to be one of those things because of the sentiment around it at the price point that it is and the performance that it could possibly provide. There's still going to be people out there that's going to want this thing bad. It's just the fact of, once people have it that wanted it bad, like the Ally X, there'll be a very small minority on the internet saying, yeah, this is the best thing out there. This is the best thing that you can buy um, for the handheld experience. But it isn't. It isn't. Best one you can buy is always going to be the one that matches price to performance. And I don't believe this is going to. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that they thought that all the way through. I'm not, obviously, this is all just rumors, so you can't, take it at face value. But for me, when I see stuff like this, it tells me that um it gives me a little pause. That's all. So, not saying it ain't gonna be good. I just gonna give me pause. And I wonder what's gonna happen next. That's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. As always, if you enjoy the content, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.